Good morning to all. Today's class is brainstem. Brainstem is an stalk-like structure which is present in the posterior cranial fossa. It connects the spinal cord with the rest of the forebrain. Okay, it consists of medulla oblongata, pons, and midbrain. What are the functions of brainstem? It acts as conduit for ascending tract and descending tract, connecting the spinal cord to different parts of the higher centers in the brain. It contains important reflex centers associated with control of respiration, the cardiovascular system, and the control of consciousness. Also, it contains the important nuclei of cranial nerves 3rd to 12th. So, first is medulla oblongata. On the gross appearance, it connects here. You can see this is the medulla oblongata. It is connecting the pons with inferiorly there will be a spinal cord. It is inferiorly it is conical in shape, and here in this part superiorly it is broad. So the junction of medulla and spinal cord corresponds to at the level of foramen magnum and the origin of anterior and posterior roots of first cervical spinal nerve. Now here you can see this is the central canal of the medulla, which is continuation of the spinal cord central canal, and in upper part of the medulla this is expanding as cavity of fourth ventricle. Okay, so anterior surface or ventral surface of medulla, what you can see here is this is anterior median fissure. Laterally on these type 2 expansion or 2 these things are there. These are known as pyramid, which contains corticospinal fibers, and third, that is the decussation of pyramid, that is site of crossover of corticospinal fibers to opposite side. Okay, then one more bulge is there, more lateral to the pyramid. This is olive, and it signifies the underlies inferior olivary nucleus, and here you can see between the olive and the pyramid the rootlets of hypoglossal nerve which are emerging from this groove. Okay, these are the rootlet of hypoglossal nerve, that is 12th cranial nerve. Okay, if you go more lateral to the olive, there is something known as inferior cerebellar peduncle which connects the medulla with the cerebellum. So in the groove between the olive and the inferior cerebellar peduncle and the groove between the pyramid and the olive, you can see there will be 9th, 10th and 11th cranial nerve. Okay, so here these are the 3 nerves. I have already told between the pyramid and the olive there is something known as 12th cranial nerve, hypoglossal nerve, and behind that, that means between the olive and the here inferior cerebellar peduncle, 3 cranial nerve, 9th, then 10th, and this is the cranial part of accessory nerve, that is 11th cranial nerve. Now posteriorly, okay, the dorsal surface of the medulla, there is posterior medial sulcus, then one bulge you can see, this is gracile tubercle, and more laterally there is cuneate tubercle. Okay, now internal features of medulla, so section at the level of pyramidal decussation, at the level of sensory decussation, and at the level of olives. Okay, so first we will see transverse section of medulla at the level of decussation of pyramid. Okay, so you can see here there is nucleus gracilis, then nucleus cuneatus, then nucleus of the spinal tract of trigeminal nerve. So then what you see, this is crossing over of fiber, that is known as decussation of pyramidal tract, then spinal nucleus of accessory nerve and the supraspinal nucleus of first cervical nerve, and there will be something known as reticular formation. Now another level of transverse section of medulla is at the level of sensory decussation. So here you can see nucleus gracilis, nucleus cuneatus, accessory cuneate nucleus, spinal nucleus and tract of trigeminal nerve. Then there is something known as inferior olivary nucleus. Then there is something known as spinocerebellar and lateral spinothalamic tract, and lateral and anterior spinothalamic tract, and this is pyramidal tract. Okay. Third section of medulla is at the level of olive. Okay, so olive, that means here you can see inferior olivary nucleus. This is reticular formation. Here you can see three nucleus of vagus. That means dorsal nucleus of vagus, nucleus tractus solitarius, and nucleus ambiguous. Okay, this is spinal nucleus and tract of trigeminal nerve. This is vestibular nucleus, and this is 12th nerve nucleus, that is hypoglossal nucleus. Okay, so this one is M standing for medial longitudinal fasciculus, T for tectospinal, and then there is medial lemniscus. Okay, and this is the pyramid. Fine. Now, what is the blood supply? Medulla is fed by vertebral artery, anterior spinal artery, posterior spinal artery, posterior inferior cerebellar artery, and basilar arteries. So you can see here, this is the basilar artery, which is formed by the two vertebral artery. This is vertebral artery. This is one of the branch of the basilar artery situated anteriorly, that is known as the anterior spinal artery. This is posterior, that is posterior posterior spinal artery, and these two arteries which are going and supplying the cerebellum, so anterior inferior cerebellar artery and posterior inferior cerebellar artery. Now, applied anatomy. So there is something known as lateral medullary syndrome. So here the one of the branch of vertebral artery is getting affected. So this area is not getting the blood supply. So what tract are affected? One is spinothalamic tract, resulting in contralateral loss of pain and temperature sensation. Then there will be something known as spinal tract of trigeminal nerve and the nucleus. So there will be ipsilateral loss of pain and temperature over the face. Then here, as I told you, nucleus ambiguous. So due to that, there will be ipsilateral paralysis of muscle of palate, pharynx, and larynx. Okay. Then same again, lateral medullary syndrome. So here you can see, before I shown you the lateral medullary syndrome, the same thing is still more symptomatically. Remember what is other name for that? Wallenberg syndrome or Pica syndrome. Pica means posterior inferior cerebellar artery. Okay, so another is inferior cerebellar peduncle and cerebellum is affected, so ipsilateral ataxia will be there. Vestibular nucleus, here this red color will be vestibular nucleus, so giddiness will be there, and descending sympathetic pathway in reticular formation affected. This is reticular formation, so there will be Horner syndrome. Then here, this is medial medullary syndrome. So you can see here there used to be, what is there? Hypoglossal nucleus, and this is pyramidal tract. So because of involvement of pyramid is contralateral hemiplegia, then hypoglossal nucleus, there will be ipsilateral paralysis and atrophy of half of the tongue, and medial lemniscus. This structure is medial lemniscus. So there will be contralateral loss of position and vibration sense. Remember what artery is involved? Anterior spinal artery. So it is also known as anterior bulbar syndrome. Okay. Now pons. So pons means bridge. It is forming a bridge between this side and this side cerebellum. So this is pons. It is present between the midbrain and the medulla. Okay. So middle cerebellar peduncle, this one, middle cerebellar peduncle connects pons with the cerebellar hemisphere. Okay. So external feature of pons, on the ventral surface you will be seeing a longitudinal sulcus. So this is there will be basilar artery present, so that is known as basilar sulcus, and here you can see these rootlets. So these are rootlets of trigeminal nerve, that is fifth cranial nerve, which is present at junction of pons with the middle cerebellar peduncle. Okay, so what are these? One is sensory root and one is motor root. The thicker one is sensory root and thin one is motor root. Okay, dorsal part, you can see dorsal part forms, this is the dorsal part of the pons, which forms part of the floor of the fourth ventricle. Internal feature, when you are seeing the pons is divided into ventral. This part alone is known as basilar part, and this part is known as tegmental part. Okay, you see again, so this part is basilar part and this part is tegmental part. This is dorsal, this is ventral part. Okay, so basilar part is occupied by different fibers which are coming from the cortex, corticospinal, corticonuclear, corticopontine, and transverse fiber which are going from the pons to cerebellum, that is pontocerebellar fiber. Remember, these fiber will be traversing via the middle cerebellar peduncle. Okay, so you can see here. Now, this is tegmental part, this is basilar part. So in the basilar part, you can see these rectangular structure. These are pontine nuclei. These pontine nuclei will be receiving the fibers from all part of cerebral cortex, and from this the fiber will be reaching into the cerebellum via middle cerebellar peduncle. Then this is tegmental part. Okay, so here is tegmental part. There will be many ascending and descending tract, and ascending tract will form lemniscus. So here you can see lemniscus, another lemniscus, then lemniscus. Okay, so first is the medial lemniscus. Okay, so medial lemniscus, these are the fibers which are arising from the contralateral nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus. Okay, it ascends to thalamus. Second one, the lateral one will be the trigeminal lemniscus. So the fibers arising from the spinal nucleus of fifth cranial, which crosses to opposite side and then ascends. Okay, then there is spinal lemniscus. Okay, here this is spinal lemniscus, this is trigeminal lemniscus. So here this is upper continuation of lateral spinal thalamic tract, and the last one is lateral lemniscus. So lateral lemniscus will be somewhere here. Okay, so that will be forming the part of auditory pathway. Okay, what are the nuclei present in the tegmental part? So tegmental part is this part. What are the nuclei? You can see 7th nerve nuclei, 6th nerve nuclei, then here is the spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. Okay, so this abducent nucleus is this one, that is 6th nerve nuclei, then this one is 7th nerve nuclei. As I mentioned here, motor nucleus of facial nerve or 7th nerve. Then here will be vestibular nuclei. Okay, here somewhere will be the vestibular. Then chief sensory nucleus of trigeminal and motor nucleus of trigeminal, all will be present in the tegmental part. Okay, what is the blood supply? It is supplied by pontine branches of basilar artery. Applied anatomy, Maillard-Gubler syndrome. So Maillard-Gubler syndrome, vascular lesion involving pontine branches of basilar artery. So here, when you see, so the pontine branch of basilar artery, so what can be involved? It can involve the 6th nerve, the 7th nerve, and the pyramidal tract. Okay, so you can see here includes pyramidal tract, the emerging fiber of abducent and facial nerve. So what will be there? Ipsilateral medial squamous due to involvement of 6th cranial nerve, that is abducent nerve. Ipsilateral facial pulse due to involvement of 7th cranial nerve or facial nerve, and contralateral hemiplegia due to involvement of pyramidal tract or corticospinal tract. Okay, then third one is midbrain. So it is divided into, this midbrain is divided into this part. Dorsal part is tectum and the ventral part is, this one is known as the tegmentum. Okay, so this part is tectum, this is tegmentum at the level of cerebral aqueduct. Okay, so dorsal to cerebral aqueduct, this part, this is cerebral aqueduct. Okay, this, so cerebral, the dorsal to cerebral aqueduct, this is tectum, and ventral to this is tegmentum. Okay, so dorsal portion, which is consist of either inferior colliculus or superior colliculus, and ventral portion is tegmentum. Okay, so tegmentum is bounded ventrally. This is tegmentum bounded ventrally by this massive fiber system that is known as crus cerebri. And what is cerebral peduncle? Remember, cerebral peduncle, not cerebellar peduncle. So cerebral peduncle is consists of tegmentum and crus cerebri. So combinedly, tegmentum and crus cerebri, they are known as cerebral peduncle. Okay. Now, caudal part of midbrain. So caudal part of midbrain, that means at the level of inferior colliculus, which constitute part of ascending acoustic projection. Okay. So here the ascending auditory fibers runs in lateral lemniscus. I already mentioned there was used to be medial lemniscus, trigeminal lemniscus, spinal lemniscus, and lateral lemniscus. So out of all those 4 lemniscus, lateral lemniscus, which terminates in the inferior colliculus. So efferent fibers from inferior colliculus will be terminating in medial geniculate nucleus or medial geniculate body in the thalamus. Okay. Then this nucleus project to the auditory cortex of temporal lobe. Okay, so remember, inferior colliculus and medial geniculate nucleus and lateral lemniscus, they all are part of auditory pathway. Okay, then rostral part, the that is at level of superior colliculus of rostral area of midbrain. Okay, so it is forming part of visual system. So here the afferent fibers are corticotactile fibers originating from visual cortex of the occipital lobe and from the frontal eye field of frontal lobe, and these inputs are concerned with controlling the movement of eyes. Okay, so midbrain will be at two level. One is at the lower level is at inferior colliculus and upper level at superior colliculus. Inferior colliculus, that means which inferior colliculus means fourth cranial nerve level, and superior colliculus means third cranial nerve level. Okay, so here this is the cerebral aqueduct, which is continuation of the, here this will be continuing from the midbrain, within the midbrain. Okay, this is the cavity of midbrain. So ventral to the colliculi, the cerebral aqueduct runs in the midbrain. Okay, and here surrounding this cerebral aqueduct there will be gray matter, that is known as periaqueductal gray matter. Okay, so what are the nucleus present in the ventral part of periaqueductal gray matter at the level of inferior and superior colliculus? There will be, so at the level of inferior, at the level of inferior colliculus there will be trochlear nerve. So this is at the level of inferior colliculus, and at the level of superior colliculus there will be third cranial nerve. Okay, so you can see this is the third cranial nerve. It is present at the level of superior colliculus, and fourth cranial nerve, it is at the level of inferior colliculus. Okay, they innervate the extraocular muscles and control the eye movement. Now, superior cerebellar peduncle. Remember, first we saw in medulla there were inferior cerebellar peduncle. Then for bones it was middle cerebellar peduncle, and for midbrain there will be superior cerebellar peduncle. Okay, so cerebellar peduncle means the fibers which are connecting the part of brainstem with the cerebellum. Okay, so inferior cerebellar peduncle connect medulla with the cerebellum. Middle cerebellar peduncle connects the pons with the cerebellum, and here this one superior cerebellar peduncle connect the midbrain with the cerebellum. Okay, now this is the red nucleus. It is involved in the motor control, and the efferent fibers from red nucleus cross in the ventral tegmental decussation here and descend to the spinal cord in rubrospinal tract. Okay, remember the tract is rubrospinal tract and it is concerned with motor control. Then another thing is substantia nigra. This is most ventral part of the midbrain tegmentum and is occupied by here. Okay, so the subdivision of this substantia nigra is known as pars compacta, and it consists of pigment melanin containing neurons that synthesize dopamine. Okay, substantia nigra. Here dopamine is synthesized. So remember this substantia nigra, degeneration of this pars compacta of the substantia nigra is associated with Parkinsonism disease. Okay, now here you can see ventral to this is substantia nigra, so ventral to this is crus cerebri. So here it consists entirely of descending cortical efferent fibers that have left the cerebral hemisphere by traversing. That means they are coming from the cerebral hemisphere after passing through the internal capsule, and they will be forming here the crus cerebri. Okay, so these fibers, the corticobulbar fibers, end up predominantly in or near the motor cranial nuclei of the brainstem. Okay, so they are coming from the cortex, but they will be reaching to the cranial nuclei in the brainstem. Okay, what is the applied anatomy? First is Weber syndrome. So it is produced by the vascular lesion in the basal region of cerebral peduncle due to occlusion of branch of posterior cerebral artery. So here what is involved? So here the third cranial nerve and the crus cerebri. So what will happen? Because of the involvement of third cranial nerve, there will be ipsilateral lateral squint. Okay, and there will be contralateral hemiplegia due to involvement of the corticospinal tract fiber present in the crus cerebri. Second is Benedict syndrome. It is due to vascular ischemia of tegmentum. So here medial lemniscus, spinal lemniscus, the red nucleus, superior cerebellar peduncle and fibers of oculomotor nerve are involved. So what will happen? The ipsilateral lateral squint and ptosis due to involvement of third cranial nerve fiber, contralateral loss of pain and temperature sensation due to involvement of trigeminal and spinal lemnisci, Then contralateral loss of tactile muscle joint and vibration sense due to involvement of medial lemniscus, and contralateral tremors and involuntary movements in the limbs due to involvement of red nucleus and the fibers of superior cerebellar peduncle. Okay. Third or the last one, Perinode syndrome results from a lesion of the superior colliculi. So it occurs when the area becomes compressed by the tumor of pineal gland. So it is characterized by the loss of upward gaze without affecting the other movement of eyeball. Okay, thank you. Fine. So that is the class of brain stem. Thank you.